Hi guys, a lot of you might not know this already, but we don't just manage properties, we also actually look after the whole investment portfolio for our clients. So, we source a property, project manage it, let it, manage it. If we feel and that's for the whole investment portfolio. So if we feel, for example, if a project or a property isn't performing as well as it should be or it could be, then we'll take a look at it and then advise on what possible strategies we can implement to make it perform better. An example would be, for example, this one. This was one of our first developments. It's a 5-bed HMO. At the time, it was doing great. We had a lot of interest. A lot of students as well. For some reason, I seem to attract a lot of students for this property. But over time, the local area, so this specific area, became very saturated. There was a lot of competition, and then the market took a bit of a downturn. And as a result, I kept an eye, because I do the managing, we do the managing and lettings ourselves. And I kept an eye, and I thought, okay, so I think the best thing for this to do with this property now, going forward, and understanding where the market's going, is to convert it to hand over to supported living, which we also manage as well. But that, we believe, would be the best fit for this particular property in this particular area. So what we've done is once all the tenants have left, essentially we just went through it. Actually mostly did the work. I just went through it himself and then just identified what we need to change and what we need to do to get this to a supported living property. So for the standards of supported living. Don't forget, it was a HMO for professionals and students before. Now we want to convert it slightly, so make slight alterations so that it's fully compliant and fully ready for supported living tenants. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll jump around, and then Ashley's going to stand in front and walk through everything that we did.
Okay, let's do it. Thank you. So, like you said, it was already a HMO, so for the most part, it was already compliant. All the moving pieces were there. We just needed to, sort of fix them up, give them a bit of a tidy up. So, really, what we've done with this property is just give it a bit of a freshen up. We've had to get a few new things in there, which I will walk you through. But the main points that I kind of want to point out are the things that are slightly different in terms of compliance-wise, the difference between what supported accommodation and the RSLs are looking for, and what professional tenants will look for, or the HMO officer in your local council. So let's have a walk in. So first things first, right here, our registered provider actually asked us to box in that meter there. Now, might seem slightly weird. You can see we can clearly open it. It's not a fire hazard as far as we know, but it's just a requirement from our registered provider. So got that boxed in. Fire alarms have all been tested, checked, they're working. Been a few additions to them, but also we got everything else checked just at the same time. So step into the room. As with everything we do, we try and just make it as standard as possible so we can always just rinse and repeat. So in this property, there were a selection, I think most of the rooms actually bar one were double rooms. So they all had double beds. The beds were a little bit tired, the mattresses were certainly tired, so it was just a good opportunity for us to actually get some new beds in, get some new mattresses in. So when our new tenants do move in, they know they've got a fresh bed and a fresh mattress, just like you would, in a professional HMO. We also, as you normally probably wouldn't do in a HMO, is you normally wouldn't dress the beds for incoming tenants. That they will tend to bring their own sort of sheets and stuff. So, but for supported accommodation, for social housing, we actually have to provide everything. So you can see here we've got mattress protector, we've got a pack of 6 here, fitted sheets. And then we've also got some duvet covers here. You can see a duvet and new pillow with a pillow protector on there as well. Some of the rooms in this property have got desks. Some of them haven't. Let me show you one more thing actually that was requested by a registered provider. So this here gas meter. Ideally, if we were doing a bigger refurb, yes, we would get it moved out of this room. This door was just sort of standard handle door, but it was requested from the registered provider that we actually put that latch on here. Again, anybody can open it, but it is just that extra level of security. So let me walk you through the rest of the property. Step into room 2. Again, you can see, all the bedding, all the sheets are there for somebody to move into. What we've also done with this property is, again, because all the tenants have sort of emptied it and all the tenants have left, well, bar one, we've professionally cleaned all the carpets throughout, and we've had an end of tenancy clean throughout the whole property as well. One of the biggest issues that we had at this property were some of the doors were actually damaged. Some of the doors and door frames are damaged. So obviously from a compliance perspective, that was one of the things that we had to look at immediately, along with the fire alarm system. So that's all rectified, all looking good now. Throughout the whole property as well, we didn't paint everywhere because there wasn't a need to paint everywhere. But what we did is we just painted where we felt we needed to paint. Lounge, dining area. So for the registered provider, we need to provide a table and chairs enough to seat everybody in the house. So this is a 5-bed HMO, so you can see there 5 people can comfortably sit around that table. So this is brand new. We've also got a brand new TV because the TV previously was damaged. But again, there was only a few tenants in the property and that's it. They weren't too concerned with the TV. But again, whole new set of tenants moving in. It's only right that we put in what we need. So let's step in here. All new door closers on every door as well. This property had some of the older door closers, but we've just sort of refreshed them just to make sure they're all working. Step in there and see bathroom. Again, all cleaned out. Kitchen area. And we've also de-weeded the back, cleaned up the whole of the back garden, the hot weather, and making sure it's coming back. So let's have a walk through. So again, for us on this property, it was just a case of ensuring that the compliance parts are ticked off, and also just giving it a little bit of a fresh up, and also making sure that we do some of the things that we do as standard in our properties now, and make sure they're rectified, i.e. door stops now. You could see here, before you know it, within a few weeks, a door like this will be damaged, constantly in and out. It just makes sense to spend a couple of pounds and get a door stop there. Let's have a walk up. Now, I'll stop here too if you can get it. So, one of the big things that the registered providers will ask for in a property, so once you get to the first floor, is they will always ask for these window restrictors. Now they're keyed window restrictors, so the tenants or the company that's managing will keep hold of those keys, but it's just another one of the compliance things that we need to tick off. Brand new fire core point installed up here. Take you into room 3, which is the warmest room. So this is the only single room in the property. But again, we've done exactly the same. This room was fairly, was tidied up already anyway. This bed is probably only about 2 or 3 months old, max, isn't it? I think only one person's been in the bed for maybe a month or so, so we did change that one. One more shower room here. As you can see, so it's not actually stepping. It's not an actual requirement in HMOs, definitely not in Birmingham City Council, to have the fire door keep shut signs on. But it is something, again, that our registered provider asked for. So we made sure that all the fire doors have got the fire door keep shut sign. We also have made sure that the fire directional signage is dotted around. I think there's one up there as well. So yeah, again, this was a 5-bed HMO. For us, it was just a case of, speaking to the landlord, explaining to him what we think is probably the best option now. Myself and 2 coming in, having a look around the property, getting a list of the compliance issues, and also getting a list of, the things that we really wanted to freshen up. with a you know, something quickly like this, it is really down to cost. So we managed to do it, got it on budget, and we've actually signed it off now. So all good.
Actually, what's the budget like on something like this? 'Cause
The
that'd be
budget,
interesting.
the budget
wouldn't
for this,
it? I mean, was it a light refurb and
just a really light refurb. I think we spent about 3K on it,
okay.
and
Not too bad.
a lot of that was obviously we've had sort of 4 new beds in the property. We've got a new TV, so those took the bulk of the cost. The other stuff was just tidying up here and there.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, that was a bit different on this one, but hopefully that's been helpful. We'll see you guys in the next one. See you.